IVM.
Hey everybody, quick request once again, if you could help us out by filling out our survey. It's at ivmpodcast.com/survey. This really helps us talk to advertisers about the kinds of people listening to these shows. Really do appreciate your help, and we're going to be doing a random drawing, and we'll be sending out some IVM swag. Hope you enjoy that.
Hello and welcome to Simblified, the podcast that attempts to make you faster, higher, stronger. No, wait, that's the Olympics. Well, we are also like the Olympics because we are strictly amateurs whom no one's ever heard of attempting feats that were previously thought impossible. Olympians may break records, but we break recordings. Sorry. Sorry, what is the point of all this? No, that was not a question. That is the official tagline of Simplified. What is the point of all this? I am Tony and I'm joined by Naren. Say hi, Naren.
Hi, listeners. I'm Naren and I am Tony's accomplice in this Nobel.
Yeah. Finally, I have to acknowledge that, this is sort of like an end of the year episode for a Simplified. And like 2 end of the years ago is when I sort of had my first long recording with Simplified as a guest. Yeah. And then
I remember that. And, we had a big review of the year, and this year we didn't have that because a big review of the year would be just COVID, right?
No, we don't want to do that.
I learned how each of us learned to do household chores, or some of us less fortunate would have battled that disease.
Yeah. Like a 15-minute segment on dishwashing tips and what's the best way to do it.
And we are actually the lucky ones. I know people who have, have contracted COVID. Some of them, it's been pretty scary. Some of them have got away without much ill effect. But it would have been COVID. So
basically, like this year's priority has been staying alive. Even for us as the Simplified podcast. So, it's been a while now, right, Naren? Since it's been just the two of us, we definitely miss Chuck and Sriket, but we are basically trying to keep this alive in a new format. And whatever feedback you have, please do share. The last thing I heard was that the puns on Simplified aren't cringy enough. Which is something we can work on, definitely.
We don't have enough evil in us. That's what people are saying.
I think the pandemic has made all of us humble and nice and stuff like that. So we don't want to inflict too much more pain on you. That's not true. We'll probably do that anyway.
We are no longer dependable.
Still disappointable, if that's it. So, Naren, I told you last time, I've come home to Kerala for like a month and a half, and we didn't want to take too many chances and also wanted to try out a fun road trip of it. So we drove like 1,600 kilometers over 3 days. It was a fun trip actually, and lots of people had done it by that time, right? So I generally ask my friends group to give tips and stuff like that. And I think the best tip that I received was to get your FASTag activated, right? So when I got my car, it came pre-installed with the FASTag sticker and all that, but I never bothered to like look it up or check on it and stuff like that. Interestingly, now I can tell you that in these 1,600 kilometers, there were 31 toll booths that we passed through, right? And obviously, I didn't keep count. It was not that boring. You can go back and check your transactions on FASTag and figure it out. But just imagine that, right? If on these 31 tolls, on average, you spend, let's say, 3 minutes extra, that adds 1.5 hours to your overall journey, right? So pretty significant in terms of time saving and stuff like that. And that was a very valuable tip. Basically the primary advantage of electronic toll collection as a user is that you move faster. But even in like random driving to work and stuff like that, I think you would have experienced this something called a ghost jam or a traffic wave. Wherein basically like there is a huge jam and you're like, okay, what happened? What happened? Is there an accident? Did like a tree fall, something? And then you go to a spot and then there's nothing there. Like there was no apparent reason for the jam, right? So this is apparently something called backward traveling traffic wave.
Snake or something. They call it the traffic snake or traffic python or something.
Yeah, okay.
I've seen different descriptions. It sort of engulfs everything. Slowly. Goes back.
Absolutely. Yeah. So even though nothing happened, just by someone, slowing down too much or braking unnecessarily, it can propagate a, sort of traffic jam all the way back. So even just slowing down on like when there is like lots of flow can cause it, something called the accordion effect, apparently. But that's not just the only reason, right? So I told you about like 31 tolls across. And actually, in a study that was released by the Transport Corporation of India, this was like 5 years ago, the estimated cost of delay on Indian roads is $6.6 billion per year. And additional fuel consumption due to delays is $14.7 billion per year. So that is quite massive, right? And the average cost of delay is like 150 rupees an hour. But considering the volume of vehicles that are there, it's like adds up pretty quickly, right? So, yeah. So, Naren, you are familiar, obviously, with who proposed the concept of tolling first, your contemporary, the Greek thinker Ptolemy. Who said told me? Is that cringy enough for you? Okay, sorry.
This is good.
No, but actually, electronic tolling in itself was first proposed by a guy called William Vickrey, who was an economist, and he suggested it for the Washington metropolitan area in 1959, right? Interestingly about William Vickrey's, an aside, but I think fun trivia, is that he's the 1996 Nobel Prize winner for economics on the theory of incentives under asymmetric information, right? Which is basically the incentive to start podcasts and spout random trivia, right? Like you can basically look up things on Wikipedia and seem smart.
It will be so cool if we get Nobel for science.
That's another scenario for the end of the world. Yeah. So William Vickrey is the only Nobel laureate from British Columbia, which is not in Britain or in Colombia, but in Canada, obviously, right? But more interestingly, the Nobel Prize has one interesting criteria, which is that it is never awarded posthumously. Yeah. But this guy was one of the 4 people who have sort of got it after his death, because the announcement was made 3 days prior to his death, right? So the other 3 people actually, like by the time the announcement was made, they had already passed away. So William Vickrey remains the only person who knew that he won the Nobel Prize but never got to collect it. So there you go. But so basically, electronic toll collection exists across the world. And there are basically 4 principles to it, right? These are: how do you identify the vehicle? How do you classify it? What is the way in which payment is collected? And what happens if you violate, basically, right? So the first step, obviously, is automated vehicle identification. And these have been done in many different methods. Naren, you want to take a shot at what these could be? How toll
from the number plate, from the license plate.
Yeah, there you go. One.
What else could it be? Image recognition of the driver. No, I guess that's not.
Think FASTag. Like, what does FASTag use? What do you think FASTag uses?
Oh, RFID.
Yeah. I think you've got the major ones. So initially, did you say barcode?
Mm.
Yeah, you have three on three, Naren. Well done. Wow, you won Simblified. You get to take the point. So there are these three modes which you actually listed. The first was basically these are where there are toll gates, right? So there can be tolled roads with or without toll gates, which is news to me. But mostly in the case of toll gates, these are the three methods, which is like barcode affixed to each vehicle to be read optically at the toll booth. The problem here is that these have very poor reading reliability, and especially when there is like bad weather or like basically dirty vehicles or something like that, right? And actually, most current systems rely on RFID only, where there is an antenna at the toll gate and a transponder in the vehicle, and they communicate via dedicated short-range communications, DSRC. Yeah, so the advantage with RFID is that it has excellent accuracy and can be read at highway speeds. So it means that in basically where this is installed outside India or in like first world countries, vehicles don't even stop at the toll gates or like slow down, right? They just pass through and it's automatically like tagged and identified. But here, one of the major disadvantages is that each vehicle needs to have a transponder which can communicate with the antenna, right? So that is kind of expensive, right? Like so.
So you need something active in the vehicle.
Yeah,
it can't be RFID. Can't be passive.
Correct. So other than India, where you can basically coerce people into doing it. Abroad, it's basically a strong deterrent because the customer has to pay for the transponder, right? So people, that's one of the disadvantages. The other thing that is used is automatic number plate recognition. It's used in the UK, Canada, and stuff like that. Basically, a system of cameras capture the vehicles and then the image of the number plate is extracted to identify the vehicle, right? So this can happen, you don't basically need to do anything. If you have a vehicle, you basically have a license plate also, and that's done automatically. But obviously this has a much higher error rate, and billing errors and cost to transaction processing is significant. So
also, I mean, if you're driving through a slushy road, possibly recognition of images.
Or smear your license plate with mud all over. Like we'll find jugadu ways to get out of it. But so essentially it'll need manual review. And one of the advantages, obviously, of electronic tolling technically is that it can reduce staffing experience, right? But strangely enough, in India, it doesn't. Like if you've been through these FASTag toll booths, you have to still stop. The barrier still comes down. You have to wait. Then there's a person inside the toll booth. There's a person outside. The person outside will tell you where to stand so the camera can read you. Then you wait, ask him how the kids are doing, and then he says, okay, now it's green. Now we can go. So like there's no reduction in staffing expense that I've seen on Indian roads, but technically if it works well, it can happen, right? So I mentioned that there are toll roads without toll gates also. So like in Germany, for instance, there is a truck tolling system where it's a huge area, therefore it doesn't make sense to use toll gates. And they use like GPS to sort of say that the truck has been in this road, so now you have to be charged and stuff like that. But that's like a very inefficient way of doing it because it's very costly to implement and stuff like that. And some others use like smartphones to sort of do this. Like in Alabama, there is a Freedom Pass mobile, which links customer accounts to these specific roads. And whenever you've been in one of those roads, then it happens. So after, this automatic vehicle identification, the next step is for automated vehicle classification, because different categories of vehicles obviously have different rates, right? So it's not the same for everyone. Yeah. And obviously the simplest way to do it in case of something like FASTag that we use is to maintain a data record, right? And say each ID or each tag is for a specific vehicle class only. There is no customer flexibility in this case because each ID needs to be associated with one vehicle only, right? And again, internationally, there are like more complex systems, including like inductive sensors in the road surface to determine the gap between vehicles and look at the number of axles as the vehicle passes over them and stuff like that. So very complex ways of doing this is also there.
Actually, doing the little automation that I do, that's not very difficult. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. A lot of automation, it's pretty straightforward. Yeah.
Right.
So only the biggest challenge in all this, I think, is to do all the computation really, really quick. So if you are driving and I'm at the toll, I would have to capture your FASTag details and shoot it to a database, which will sort of look up your data, charge you, and it has to go back to your bank or your account.
Right.
So if you haven't paid, if you've accumulated tolls and you haven't paid at all, there should be some way of knowing. And they do that. I've seen, like at the toll gates, there'll be some sign saying vehicle blacklisted or something.
Yeah. So blacklisted usually happens if you run out of balance in FASTag because it's a prepaid thing. Yeah. So if you have a FASTag and then you don't
have to do that all in real time. And so that probably, I don't know what technology they use, but that itself must be pretty interesting.
Correct. Yeah.
Backbone of that entire thing.
Yeah.
And a lot of tolls are in the middle of nowhere. So, you do need to get internet access there.
Yeah. But I think it's safe to say that it's much simpler to say one tag for one vehicle rather than complicate the whole thing with lasers and stuff like that, right? And rely on systems to do that. Then, of course, there is the transaction processing. Once you identified and classified the vehicle, how the payment itself happens. And I mean, obviously, like there are variants here which can be postpaid, where, for instance, in the US, if you just pass through one of these and you don't have like a prepaid thing, they'll send you the bill via snail mail and stuff like that. Not extremely efficient, but it still works, right? But otherwise, obviously, there are prepaid methods, which is why like the banks are also a major part of this whole ecosystem, right? To make sure that the collection happens automatically. Then the final part, of course, is violation enforcement, which is if a vehicle basically passes through without paying the toll. How do you make sure that they are charged, right? So it can be done through many of these things, right? What we use is obviously a physical barrier along with a toll gate to make sure that no one violates it. Then there are other ways like using obviously police patrols, which is highly costly, or like the number plate recognition can also work, and then you get sent a bill later and stuff like that. So these are the 4 basic principles of electronic tolling across the world. And in case of FASTag, obviously, like we mentioned, it uses a RFID sticker containing an embedded chip, which is affixed to the vehicle's windshield, right? But here, I think again, I am not sure why this needs for people to stop, and then it takes like quite a bit of time to validate. Probably because I don't know if you've seen the older like bulky transponders that we used to have. At least when I was driving to Electronic City in Bangalore, frequently you used to get that bulky thing, which has now been reduced to the sticker, right? So probably that has led to loss in accuracy, right? So,
that powers it. It has a battery or something.
Oh yeah,
or it's a dumb.
Actually I don't remember. It probably does, right? Like yeah. But the current FASTag basically has RFID, and at the back end, it is connected to a bank account or a wallet, and it's always prepaid, right? So, and it's currently available across 450 toll plazas in national and state highways. And all the way from Bombay to Kerala, there was only like one toll booth where it was not enabled, right? Which was like Nice Road on Bangalore, which I'm assuming is like a different special
part of the network. So yeah, right.
Yeah. But it's pretty seamless, right? Once you've sort of managed to get your FASTag account, activated and recharged, then you keep getting SMSs of the amounts that has been deducted at each toll plaza. So it's a fun way to keep track of how much you paid also, which is not an insignificant amount.
And if you don't get billed, I think that is the untold part of that story.
Oh wow! Okay, we should have a spin-off podcast called "The Told and the Untold." Right? Yeah,
that would be an awesome.
Yeah,
entirely about.
So it is FASTag in India is basically managed by this company incorporated by National Highways Authority of India called IHMCL, which is Indian Highways Management Company Limited, and obviously in conjunction with the National Payments Corporation of India. And they've basically sort of enabled banks to sell the FASTags, right? Because banks obviously have a great advantage here because they can charge that, what is it called? Merchant fee, merchant rate, whatever it is per transaction.
That plus, I think, they'll if they have a lot of customers, they'll have a good amount of money. It's all prepaid, right? So
yeah.
So they get to use that money for free. I guess that's
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Then, of course, for the Indian government, there is also the advantage of transaction settlement because it's all online and like there's revenue leakages that can happen are plugged and stuff like that. But all in all, it works pretty well based on my experience as well, that you have dedicated FASTag. Although technically FASTag is now mandatory for all vehicles. I think it has been for a year or so now, or like 3 years. They keep changing the rules, but you need to have a FASTag. But everywhere there are both manual collections and FASTag deductions happening. Really, it cuts down on the commute time. That's the basic essence of such a thing.
And it has a lot of those. Ancillary benefits. First of all, a lot of toll collection was underreported, and it would find its way into, the local politicians, or whoever.
Yeah.
All that is on. And second, I think they have a great deal of data, or they will have on vehicular movement. Yeah. So I don't know what people, if you have all that data and if you still run the country the way it is done, but still, it's better to misrun it with data than misrun it.
Yeah. So it helps plan for future developments or even current ones to say which are the biggest bottlenecks and how do you solve for it and stuff like that. Yeah. But I guess, I mean, like some of the concerns worldwide, obviously, when you refer to it as the Aadhaar for vehicles, immediately like this, like a mistrust, because there are privacy concerns. One, because you obviously know, where each vehicle has been at any point in time, and it's tightly coupled to the vehicle number as well, which is not something that's in the highest standards of privacy. But otherwise, yeah, pretty much it benefits both the customer and the infrastructure provider, the government as well. So all in all, it's a good thing, I think.
Yeah. So I think we are going to see this sort of pretty widespread. It's already is widespread, but there are places like, for example, the one toll that I negotiate every day to work is not part of the FASTag.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That's the Bombay, the one at Dahisar.
Right.
And I strongly suspect that a lot of that toll is underreported and it goes to... So there's a lot of wheels running in that system.
Right.
But sooner or later, it will succumb. I think that will.
Okay. And how long does it take you to negotiate that toll?
A lot of time. It takes a lot of time.
Yeah. That's why you...
And they have... It's totally chaos. It's totally... so there are a couple of lanes which say ETC tag, we prepaid. So I've got a pass kind of thing. And all kinds of non-pass guys get in. And they all have individual reasons why they shouldn't be made to pay the toll. So they have deep negotiations at the toll gate. So it's...
Mere pass hai.
Yeah, you don't know who I am. Then they'll pull out one identity card which tells...
Government ID and stuff like that. Yeah.
Government ID. And that says, no, it doesn't say you're the president of India. It's and so it's a lot of unnecessary waste of time. So I can see how the FASTag will be. So FASTag is very personal. Either it lets you go, the system says yes or system says no. Person has nothing.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right. On that note, I think, Naren, you can sign off for us.
Yeah. Stay safe, stay tagged, and stay simplified.
Bye.
Bye.
I hope you enjoyed that show. If you aren't following us on social media, please do. We're IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. One more reminder, people, please go to ivmpodcast.com/survey and help us out. It will take you a couple of minutes to fill out this survey, but it really is very, very helpful for us. For the people who do fill out the survey and are willing to drop us their email address, we're going to do a special drawing and send out some IVM swag to everybody. So please do help us out with that. But what a week it's been on the network. There's so many things to talk to you all about. Let me run through some of the biggest highlights really, really quickly, right? So Sanjay Jha was on Cyrus Says. What an incredible conversation. I mean, I can't say enough about it. Check that out. We had Hansal Mehta on Marukinaya's The Note talking about 1992 scam. Amazing stuff. We had Vishal Gondal talking to Nikhil Advani about his career in film. On Storytellers and Storysellers, Vineet spoke to Gunjan Arya, the CEO of OML, and Samiksha Unyal from Bacardi about the history of NH7, the Weekender Festival. On Postcards from Nowhere, Utsav had an amazing episode about the Bushmen of Kalahari. Begin the Journey, Ashish Vidyarthi talks about career choices. On Naan Curry, they talk about cake. What a fun show that was. And on This Round is on Me, we had Dr. Sanjay Arora talking to Gauri about Suburban Diagnostics and Company and what he sees as the future of healthcare in India. And for our Tamil speakers, if you haven't been checking out Sivakami and Sabatam, why haven't you? Please do go check that out. Kavita's doing an amazing job telling that story. And with that, I hope to see you again next week.
Namaskar, dear friends. My name is Ashish Vidyarthi. Life, as you know, is a journey. And you and I, travelers, how can we celebrate this travel? I have a podcast for you. Begin the Journey. I share stories and moments from my life. Do tune in every Monday and Thursday to listen to my podcast on the IVM Podcast website, app, or wherever you get your podcast from. Cheers.